If you're a leader who puts the team above yourself, look no further than the Black Knight for your personal mech commander. Its excellent defense makes it the ultimate team player, intentionally drawing attacks to itself so others can get the perfect position. Let's go over the history of the Black Knight and how to use it to its maximum potential. After that, I'll show you an experimental design that'll return this mech back to its StarLeague glory days. Production year 2578. StarLeague era. Name Black Knight. BL-7-KNT. Weight 75 tons. Faction none. Rare design. Role Brawler. Built as a frontline command mech, the Black Knight's primary weapons are a Magna Hellstar 2 PPC mounted on the right arm and 2 torso-mounted McCorkle large lasers. Then, when range closes, the mech swaps to 4 Max LDT medium lasers, 1 in each arm and torso. Finally, as a last resort, it has a single small laser on the head. The story of the Black Knight begins 8 years after the birth of the StarLeague. The mech was built in 2578 from the orbital factory of Connaught, just in time for the Reunification War, a war that saw the StarLeague and most of the Inner Sphere superpowers force the weaker periphery states into a system of taxation without representation. During this war of subjugation, the Black Knight fought on the front lines against the Terran Concordat, where it performed well and was soon adopted by the entirety of the StarLeague Defense Force. The Black Knight that was used in that early era was quite similar to the one we know today, Commander. The only difference being a Beagle active probe, which made it better at detecting hidden mechs, and an Endil Seal skeleton, which gave the Black Knight a lighter frame, so it could pack on an additional 2 tons of armor. The Black Knight would then remain relatively unchanged for 173 years, when in 2751, a special 6B variant was created for the elite StarLeague Royal Regiments. In the 6B series, the very best technology was added to the Black Knight. The large lasers were upgraded to the more accurate large pulse lasers, and the single heatsinks were upgraded to double heatsinks, which let the 6B continually fire all its lasers without heating up. To top it all off, the PPC was upgraded to an extended range PPC, which increased its range by 28%. This version of Black Knight was well regarded by their users. It was used by Captain Elizabeth Hazen, a bodyguard to the First Lord of the StarLeague, as well as a few duelists of the Gunslinger program. Unfortunately, this golden age was not to last. Production of the Black Knight continued for another 50 years through the Amara Civil War, but was suddenly halted during the outbreak of the First Secession War, when the orbital factory on Connaught was destroyed in 2802. The factory is hastily rebuilt in 2809 to produce a downgraded Black Knight 7 series that featured a standard skeleton and downgraded electronics before the factory was destroyed again by the Capellans in 2820. Faced with supply shortages and a factory that could only produce low-quality spare parts, the great houses were forced to improvise to keep their existing Black Knights operational. Most ended up directing their technicians to create bootleg knockoffs of the Connaught 7 series. Standardized equipment was replaced with one that were regionally available, and the endo steel skeleton of the mech was pulled out piece by piece, and a heavier standard skeleton was grafted on in its place. This means many of the Black Knights who have survived to modern day 3025 are crippled old warriors. They are former bone replacement patients kept running with a mix of inferior, non-standard parts. It's a miracle any of them can still fight, Commander. The history of the Black Knight explains why it's very rare. Having been out of production for the last 200 years, it only appears between 0 and 1% of all heavy mechs deployed by the great houses. It's typically not available for purchase on the mercenary market. Oddly enough, Commander, when the Free Worlds League were doing their conversions of the Black Knight, they created something that outperforms the standard 7 variant in almost every situation. Instead of the arm-mounted PPC like the standard 7 variant, the Free Worlds League 7L variant uses a third large laser and 2 additional heatsinks. This was due to a PPC shortage in the region, but resulted in the 7L having better piercing and damage because of the easier to manage heat load. Now that we know the history of the Black Knight, let's shift gears and dive into the combat stats of the Black Knight 7L variant so our pilots can use it effectively on any mission we take it on. Offensively, the Black Knight L is a very good brawler. Its 3 large lasers give it multiple piercing attacks, and when ranges close, its 4 medium lasers make it very damage efficient. Having its weapons spread across its locations, rather than packed in one place, means that losing an arm or even a torso during a battle will only have a moderate impact on combat performance. Defensively, the Black Knight is protected by 11 tons of armor, which is a bit low, but still acceptable for a brawler. Its real strength, however, comes from its lack of ammunition, and the multiple lasers spread across its locations. An opponent will never be able to score a quick kill with an ammunition explosion, but instead be forced to grind through nearly all the Black Knight's armor and structure. The mech is very time consuming to take down, and because its weapons are spread across its body, the mech will remain a threat until it's completely destroyed. In lance compositions, the Black Knight helps form the front line for its unit. It brings much needed piercing to its lance and efficient damage. The command mech quirk also hopes its lance get the tactical edge. A headquarters lance might round out the unit by having another brawler mech to accompany the Black Knight like the Orion, and 2 sniper mechs like the Awesome and Griffin. The Griffin's speed means it can also be used to defend a flank against enemy strikers. While I have yet to analyze all the heavy mechs available to us, Commander, I feel I can rate the Black Knight an A tier mech as an initial grade. Its high piercing damage and survivability make it useful to nearly any lance composition. It's possible this rare mech may even make it to the S tier in the upcoming heavy tier list. I think the MechTechs and I have created a design that will be even better for a mercenary company like ours though, but first let's go over how to pilot the original design to its maximum potential. Oh, and by the way, Commander, if you'd like to add me to your mercenary company's advisory staff, all you have to do is click the subscribe and bell icon on the video below. The Black Knight L is a straightforward brawler that has good piercing and is hard to destroy. Pilots have 2 goals. First, to get into favorable range with their large lasers, and second, to manage their heat. After that, they can help their lance mates get into good positions by taking calculated risks during the initiative phase. As mechs are entering the battlefield, the Black Knight should deploy in the middle of the initiative. Faster mechs who can reposition easily should go first, followed by the Black Knight, and then more heavily armed snipers or ammunition carrying brawlers. As the fight opens at long and medium range, the Black Knight plays slightly more aggressively than other brawlers. Because the Black Knight's piercing attacks are centered around the large laser, unless its lance is using a masked LRM or PPC strategy, the Black Knight should always close to 10 hexes or less to get its large lasers into effective range. Commander should call a primary target, usually another enemy brawler, and then run forward to a covered position, firing 2 or 3 large lasers along the way. Once in position, it should keep its heat below 8 and fire its large lasers in a 3-3, 3-2 pattern to try and crack open its target's armor. Once in position, Black Knight pilots should enable their lance mates by usually activating early in the initiative. By activating early, the Black Knight intentionally puts itself in danger. Enemy mechs know where the Black Knight is and are able to maneuver to the best range for their weapons while maximizing cover. The benefit to this is that the Black Knight's low armor allies get to see where enemy mechs have gone and make better defensive moves. The Black Knight's command mech quirk also helps its unit win the initiative, which allows an allied cavalry mech to get the last move and position for a perfect flank. While all brawlers tend to activate early, because the Black Knight cannot be destroyed by an ammunition explosion, pilots should be even more willing to take hits than other mechs. The ideal Black Knight pilot should be selfless, willing to put themselves in dangerous positions in order to enable their lance mates. They may even go as far as to allow an enemy flanker to maneuver into their rear for a turn or two so their allies can counter. Once mechs close to brawl range, pilots should continue to fire their piercing combination until they're able to get a center torso, leg, or ammunition explosion down to 4 or less armor. Once a location is exposed, they should swap over to their efficiency combination to crit seek and finish the mech off. The Black Knight is also very good at pushing its heat. Pilots should normally keep their heat below 8 or 12, slowly heating up over the course of a battle. But if they're able to catch a mech out of position and the chance to hit is very good, Black Knight pilots should not hesitate to push their heat as high as 21 in order to take advantage of the situation. Then, on the next turn, they should fire only a few weapons to drop their heat to 8 or lower. Now let's go over to the mech bay, and I'll show you a refit that returns the Black Knight back to its Star League glory days. We're designating this experimental Black Knight BL-Slime-KNT-X1 and naming it Just a Scratch. We're swapping the PPC for a large laser and removing the 2 arm-mounted medium lasers to add a heatsink, 2.5 tons of armor, and upgrade the small laser to one of the medium versions. The refit is an affordable 127,000 C-bills, or 2% of the mech's original cost. It's a 6-day, Class B, field refit, meaning we can get it done without any specialized facilities. We just need a crane and some standard tools. The refit is intended to improve the defense of the Black Knight while maintaining its offensive power. Reducing the number of weapons results in the Just a Scratch having better armor than even the Star League 6 variant that uses endo steel. The variant's weapons loadout is based off of the Merrick 7L, which has higher piercing damage and total damage out of the designs we measured, as long as it can push into 10 hexes or less. Analysis shows the Just a Scratch has only a minimal drop in performance with 1 less heatsink. I feel this is a good example of how small changes in design can produce big results. If you'd like to know more about the other mechs mentioned in the video, please see the additional commander guides on this channel.
Yeah, we win